What's cracklin', everybody? Welcome back once again to the definitive cereal tier list. For each episode, we take a cereal, put it on the tier list, so you know how good it is. I'm your host, Tucker. In this episode, we're doing Frosted Flakes with crispy cinnamon basketballs. Before we begin, just gotta point out, this is a Kellogg cereal, and as of this moment, the Kellogg's workers are still on strike. So even if this turns out to be really good, maybe don't pick it up yet, kind of put it on hold for a second. I'll put a link in the description to the union website for the workers, just if you want to read up about what's going on there and see a bit more and maybe support them in any way you would like, but I'll just put that easy access for you to find out more. Looking at how Frosted Flakes has done in the ranks previously, the original Frosted Flakes was, of course, an A, the first A, actually, that we had. So, strong start for Frosted Flakes. Moved down to a B, though, with the chocolate and honey nut. Chocolate, comma, honey nut, separate, not one thing. Both of those got a B, pretty solid. Then the C, we had the cinnamon and the banana cream, which banana cream is kind of like a weird one-off thing. But cinnamon, I think, is the most relevant for this one, of course. Though this time, they're keeping, from what I understand at least, the normal Frosted Flakes piece and having just the cinnamon basketballs instead of making the Frosted Flakes piece cinnamon. So we'll see if this works a bit better than cinnamon Frosted Flakes did. If nothing else, it's pretty different from the others. Oh, I guess besides, there was Frosted Flakes with marshmallows. That was also a B. So we've seen that additions to base Frosted Flakes can work out. So right now we're looking at a potential CB, but maybe it'll be shocking. But let's just open it up, see what Shaq's got for us. These are very orange, which I guess makes sense because basketball. I don't know, something about them doesn't look super appealing. Like Apple Jacks is orange, and that looks more appealing. This one just looks weird. Oh, didn't even check the scent of the basketballs. Give me a moment. There's definitely cinnamon in there. Yeah, I think the cinnamon scent's stronger than the Frosted Flakes scent, which I guess it's just kind of sugar. Alright, so yeah, we got just your normal flakes, and then again, these orange, kind of odd looking basketballs, I guess. I wasn't paying great attention to what the ratio is like, so I guess that'll be interesting to see as well. Alright. Some flakes, got a basketball. Okay, the way that bite worked out for me, I didn't have the basketball really show up till the end. So I started off normal Frosted Flakes, like alright, good time. Then you get that cinnamon at the end. It was pretty alright, totally fine cinnamon. The basketball I expected to be, I don't know, I guess crispier, where it didn't texture-wise stand out a ton in that bite compared to the flakes. We'll see, maybe as I go in that'll change. Let's go ahead and try basketball on its own, see what a basketball tastes like. Okay. On its own, I think I notice that it's not one of the sweeter cinnamons we've done. It's more a sort of classic cinnamon flavor. Also, that basketball seemed like it had already gone through a couple stages of soggification. So that's, I would say weird, because, you know, normally a puff doesn't really do that, but it is Frosted Flakes, and that is an issue, known issue with Frosted Flakes. So I guess it's fitting in that sense. It's still kind of weird. I expect it to be, again, crispier. All right, now let's see what changes the basketballs have brought to classic Frosted Flakes milk. Oh, I kind of like that mix a bit better than the last couple bites I've had. Yeah, that mix of the Frosted Flakes frosting, sorry, and the cinnamon of the basketballs, I think is blending better here in the milk than most of the bites I've had. Like maybe the first couple, I'd say, worked out similarly to this, but I don't know. Yeah, I like this milk. This is a good milk. Good job, Tony and Shaq. It seems my original prediction for the cereal was correct, and Shaq did not help Frosted Flakes reach new heights. Thinking about where to place this one, I think there's three other Frosted Flakes to really compare it to. First off, of course, normal Frosted Flakes, because this is just that with cinnamon basketballs. Second off, marshmallow Frosted Flakes, because again, you're just taking normal Frosted Flakes, adding an extra piece in, and finally, of course, cinnamon Frosted Flakes, because cinnamon basketballs. I think right off the bat, I'd prefer just to have a normal Frosted Flakes bowl over this. I think it's just one of those cereals where this has happened to with some other ones where you add in another element and it's not quite distracting, but sometimes you were like, oh, I'd rather just sort of have this original cereal versus this sort of remix going on. So I think not as strong as normal Frosted Flakes. But from what I remember of the cinnamon Frosted Flakes, I think I do like this a bit more. I think having the normal Frosted Flakes piece in there, though again I just said, doesn't quite match up to having a straight bowl of Frosted Flakes. I think that sort of base flavor works better than trying to just add cinnamon instead of the frosting for the cinnamon Frosted Flakes. So having both tastes here, I think does work a little better than the normal cinnamon Frosted Flakes. And then, finally, the Frosted Flakes with marshmallows. I think that I might like a little more. Again, that was definitely one of the situations where the extra piece was a little distracting. But that brought a bit more texture difference than this does. Because as I mentioned, the crispy basketballs aren't super crispy, and I expected them to bring in more crunch, especially as you go through the bowl. I think that expectation was not met with these, where they're more in line than I expected the basketballs to be with the flake piece. So it's kind of a tough call, but I think that is kind of where I'm at with this. So what I'm going to do is give Frosted Flakes with crispy cinnamon basketballs a B. I think it's a pretty low B, but I think it just barely makes it over. Part of that for me is that a lot of this bowl, it was like I was just having normal Frosted Flakes, which as we've established is a real good cereal. So it's hard to sort of knock that aspect of it. I think the basketballs definitely didn't do as much as I would have expected, or maybe liked. Like again, they weren't that different from the normal flake piece, which was weird. Like if they had been crispier, even if that meant it stood out more and didn't jive as well, and dropped it to a C or something, that would at least be more interesting than this. And I think I would have preferred that interestingness to sort of just being like, oh, you're pretty much having Frosted Flakes, but sometimes there's some cinnamon in there. And the milk, I guess, is pretty different. I like that. The milk was real good. So that was a plus. But I don't know, I just expected this to be more of a change than it is. So it's weird that I'm knocking it for not changing it much, but it's still barely getting a B just because flavor-wise it works out to be higher. So part of me does want to just give it a C because it's not anything too exciting, but looking at it as just its own thing of what I enjoyed, I think it does barely manage that B. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and in the comments below, post your general thoughts. Let me know if you've tried Frosted Flakes with crispy cinnamon basketballs and what you thought. This is another one. It says new on the box, but that was at the time that I picked it up. Not necessarily new now, so maybe you had a chance to try it. If, like me, you thought the basketballs were lacking in the crispiness, and maybe that would have brought it higher up. Maybe it wouldn't have, but it'd still be more exciting. You can agree with me there. Always nice to have that. Or if you think they did actually bring a lot more to the table than I gave them credit for, you can let me know about that too. Or I guess if you're just a fan of Shaq and don't really care about the cereal, you can say go Shaq and support him too, I guess. But until next time, stay delicious.